It is World Health Day on the 7th day of April 2025. This is Morning Cafe. Thank you so much for choosing us. Good morning. So good to see you. Happy New Week.
Yes, Happy New Week indeed. It is also the day of remembrance for the victims of the Rwanda genocide, today being 7th of April. Yes, my name is Freddy Ndibuli. Karibu sana to a new week, second week of April.
All right, let's dive deep in to the local dailies. We start off with the standard budget betrayal.
Oh yes, discussions around the budget now kicking in. Mujue ndo hii masaa ya Osielo. MPs on the spot over missing bursary cash. That's a big headline of the People Daily.
Daily Nation, state jobs for those with godfathers.
Yeah, I think we've known that for a while now. Gambling craze killing youth. Where? Mambo imechocha. Yes, today on State of the Nation, we'll be having this four gentlemen: Dr. Makali Mulu, Kipruto Arap Kirwa, Danson Mungatana, Senator, and Samuel Pogisio, former cabinet minister. Do stand by for that, coming away at 6:30 this morning.
All right, let's cross over to the region. We start off with the East African. Trump snubs AU mission's call for cash, and Washington stated focus on threats posed by ISIS. Somalia leaves also already need for $150 million grappling with a funding crisis. Hizi story moja hii.
Story ni nyingi sana hapa. Unaona hata wanauliza pale chini, is this the end of AGOA?
Yes.
After the tariffs that were imposed by President Donald Trump, because there was to be preferential trade agreement between some countries in Africa and the US. And then Trump amekuja sasa, mimi sijui hiyo ni mambo gani. Lipa.
Yes, 10%. The economic pain of East Africa conflicts and disruption in flow of goods and food security, besides human displacement, have added a burden to the economies. There is a country that imekuwa affected very recently, that is South Sudan. I think wamepata no visas to the US. Yes. A malaria vaccine comes at the right time, and the Wednesday rollout makes Uganda the 19th African country to integrate it in its routine immunization program. And that's the East African.
I must say it's a very busy page, front page of the East African today. A lot to talk about across the region.
Yes.
In Uganda, we start off with a new vision. That's in Kampala. Diplomat in paternity row. Wife arrested. Dispute started after DNA test. Baby dies mysteriously. Ouch. It's a very convoluted story there. The other story is a marathon that took place yesterday. Thousands strong Kabaka birthday run. I've seen a different picture. I think it was on the Daily Monitor where the runners are now dancing in mud. Yeah, I don't know if we have that one, but it is a big talking point. You know, when we have the Nairobi half marathon, inakuanga interesting. Yeah. Inaitwa Kabaka birthday run. His birthday is on the 13th of this month.
The 12th edition, this one.
Yes. All right.
The Citizen, we cross over to Tanzania. The Daily Monitor, imetupita, but still the story on the Daily Monitor is about this run, on the Kabaka birthday run.
All right,
yes,
we do have the Daily Monitor there, yes.
Lab-bred mosquito plan causes a buzz. And let's just see what they're talking about. They say debate as the world marks World Health Day today. A section of Ugandan scientists believe that an ongoing project to breed and introduce genetically modified mosquitoes could be a game changer in reducing the population of malaria-transmitting mosquitoes. Another very interesting story there is, why do towels get dirty? Some say it's because of religious beliefs, and some believe maybe it's because of health issues. What do you believe?
What? Malaria? For mosquitoes.
Fred, come back here. Why do towel get dirty?
I'm here.
All right, let's cross over to Tanzania. That's the Daily Monitor.
In Tanzania, we start off with the Citizen. Matters business. Experts say how to respond to Trump tariffs. You know, now we're just talking about Trump across the entire region. And South Sudanese are talking about Trump because they've been denied visas. Kenya, we're talking about Trump because now we already have tariffs, and it doesn't look like he's going to renew AGOA. So they say Tanzania does not export much to the US, and is thus unlikely to feel the heat immediately. But analysts have warned against complacency, saying the country should begin preparing for possible long-term disruptions. Yes, and the reciprocal tariffs in East Africa are more or less the same across most of the countries, 10%. Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, DRC, Burundi, and Rwanda. We're all, any goods coming from Kenya have been slapped with a 10% tariff for them to enter the US. Meanwhile, they say, unajua mitumba ikikuja hapa inakuanga inapigwa tariff as we try to protect our own local textile industry. The other story, G55, our stance is for the good of the nation, Chadema say. The G55 faction said yesterday that it was not rebelling against Chadema's leadership, but pushing for internal reforms for the benefit of the opposition party and the nation at large. Now, this is an apparent split in the opposition party in Tanzania. How many months to elections? Like 6 months to elections, then they have a split. Unaona akishinda yeye kura ama waache tu.
Watashinda.
Because pale juu Samia to address Angolan parliament in landmark visit. So wakicheza hivi mkiendelea hivi split opposition anywhere. Aiendangi mbali, uliza hao Kenya wanajua zaidi.
Broad based, labda wataenda broad based. It works.
That's a citizen in Tanzania.
Gazeti la Mwananchi, if we can have it.
Yes, we do have the Mwananchi.
Mpasuko Chadema. Wanamtandao wa G55 wameweka hadharani machungu wanayopitia. Watahadhirisha makada kukimbilia vyama vingine. No reforms, no election yageuka la moto. Bado hiyo no reforms, no election. Wanasema kwamba maoni yetu kama G55 si ya kupinga msimamo wa chama, bali ni kupendekeza namna bora zaidi ya kuziendeleza reforms huku tukilinda ustawi. Sisi tunashauri chama kitafakari upya that is masuala ya vikao sio msaafu yanaweza kubadilishwa. Hiyo ni John Mnema. Is it John Mnema?
Mpasuko Chadema.
Wadau ushuru mpya wa Trump uiamshe Tanzania, na Dar es Salaam kuimarisha diplomasia ya kiuchumi na kushirikiana na mataifa yaliyo tayari kama vile China na miongoni mwa ushauri. Habari nyingine ni kwamba makundi ya kuchati yageuka mwiba kwa wanasiasa, na Abeid Karume alipambana kukomesha fitina matabaka.
Wanasiasa wa kule nchi jirani wamefikiwa na chats apps. Wanasumbuliwa Wakenya washazoea. Washazoea hata must go washazoea. Wamezoea mambo mengi.
Let's take a look at the weather situation.
Na leo whether it's in Chinese. Let's take a look at probably just the weather patterns across the continent, and you can see there's a huge cloud system across the central part of East Africa. Areas above Uganda, Lake Victoria, central Tanzania have a lot of cloud cover, getting into DRC and Burundi there. But Kenya doesn't have much of that. Yes, very little cloud cover, lakini kulinyesha jana, a lot of rain. Yeah. Meaning, if at all you're feeling the rain and you can see Kenya, according to Zoom.earth, doesn't have that much cloud cover. You can imagine how much rain is in these regions of Uganda and Tanzania currently. Areas around Tabora, Mpanda, and Uvinza. Yeah? And that cloud system goes as far down as Zambia, areas in Lubumbashi, and even Harare, a bit of it in Zimbabwe. So East Africa towards Central Africa, a lot of cloud cover. That's the weather situation. I don't think, do we have Nairobi somewhere?
It's 17 degrees in Nairobi, but we'll come back to it later. In Kisumu, it's 19 degrees, feels like 24, cloudy throughout the day, showers of blessings in Kisumu. So highs of 26 degrees expected today. Precipitation here is 14 millimeters. Definitely rain will be felt in Kisumu today.
Right. Those are areas closer to the Lake Victoria. In Kinangop, where President William Ruto was sometime last week, na wakapiga kelele sana. It's pretty chilly. That's in Nyandarua County. 18 degrees, that's the highest. Currently, it's about 11 degrees Celsius. Very cold. 3 millimeters of rainfall expected there, but huku hata unaweza pata snow sometimes. It's very cloudy throughout the day. Na ukiangalia, cloud cover kwetu hakuna as much. Yes.
And back home, Nairobi, it's 17 degrees, cloudy throughout the day, highs of 21 degrees expected here. Precipitation is 2.8 millimeters, will definitely be felt.
All right.
Let's take a look at the traffic situation. 10 minutes past the top of the hour in Nairobi, of course.
Yes, major tributaries into the CBD looking green this morning. Nothing much to report from the eastern side, especially Mombasa Road, all the way from Lolongo, green past Imardaima, Nairobi Expressway, Capital Center to the CBD. It's looking good. Guys coming from Thika Road, and I'm going as far back as Ruiru, it's also green. Areas around Githurai, Kasarani, nothing much to report this morning. It's smooth running into ile inaitwa Nywe, past Allsops, past KCA University, past the Utali Drift, ukifika pale Mathare interchange pale Pangani, that's where you experience the bottleneck kama kawaida. So guys from Kiambu Road, also all the way far back as Fourways Junction, green all the way. The best time to leave, kumbe hata sijavaa watch, no wonder hii maneno inaenda slow. The best time to leave for work is now. Tukiingia pale town, areas around Haile Selassie Avenue, Marikiti, Gikomba, Muthurwa, there's a bit of traffic situation as people get into town on Landis Road and Haile Selassie Avenue, but bado haija build up sana. Yes. Tukiangalia Jogoo Road, yes, a long stretch of red pale Makadara as you get closer to the St. Stephen's Jogoo Road roundabout, but that's the only problem there. After that, it's green all the way at Pale City Stadium roundabout. It's looking good. Outer Ring Road, areas around Feather and Pipeline, Matatus pale zinabeba watu, so it's building slowly. Kangundo Road, ni kama wali change kabisa. There are days you look at Kangundo Road and it's red on both sides.
From home.
Squeeze wameamua, they discovered how to work from home. Yes. So even coming from Kangundo Road, sorry, it's looking good. So the eastern side of Nairobi, not bad at all in as far as traffic is concerned. And the western side, unajua wananga shida. Watu kutoka Karen, barabara ni Nywe. Kutoka Langata, it's smooth. Mbagathi Way, I can see it's green. Ngong Road, pale shida tuko pale Prestige Plaza because of the lights, and it's a cross junction. But after that, getting to town is so easy. The other main tributary, that's Wayaki Way, all the way from Loresho, Kangemi, ABC Place, Westlands into town. It's looking good. So being a Monday, this is very lovely traffic for guys working in Nairobi. Lakini kama unataka kutoka nyumbani, this is the best time to leave.
Let's take a look at the quote of the day.
Belief in yourself is the bedrock of all success. When you trust in your potential, you've already made significant progress on your path to achieving your goals.
Budget betrayal is the main headline on the Standard today. Cash crunch. The government is preparing to storm back, blood-stained briefcase in hand, to writing the last drops from a crumbling economy. Budget making has morphed from a duty to serve citizens into a desperate bid for the state's survival. And for millions of the poor who are barely hanging on, it's yet another demand to tighten already frayed belts. Last year's finance bill protests caused dozens of young lives, yet the regime, deaf and unshaken, presses on, hell-bent on taxing even the air Kenyans breathe.
Hey, amekuja sana hapa.
Wanakujanga sana.
Your description.
Now remember, the budget time is almost around the corner. I think it's somewhere around this month, and the government is also supposed to just give its spending plans on the...
It's already before Parliament, the budget policies estimates. So MPs are scrutinizing them, then eventually tutakuja kuambiwa sasa out of that finance bill inasema hivi. For us to raise this amount, these are the taxes.
Absolutely.
Na tunaona ni kama itakuwa more or less what we saw last year.
Really?
Actually probably even worse, according to this description by the Standard.
Because sasa taxes pia itabidi wameongeza to just meet. We are working with
4.3 trillion.
4.3 trillion.
We've never gotten there.
Right now we are 3.9.
3.8 actually.
3.8?
Yes. So about $500 million shillings more.
Wamesema
Na hata last year, we did not have that much revenue collected. Yeah.
All right. The Parliamentary Budget Office report says here that the 2025-2026 budget perpetuates past policy failures, worsening the cost of living, taxes and public services. Instead of relief, the budget will increase taxation and, of course, debt. Other stories here: I will not be intimidated, says Gachagua. Yesterday we saw kulikuwa na chaos pale Kasarani PCEA Church. And of course, I wanted to say, as always, Gachagua, through fingers, he has fingered the president.
Yes, anamwambia directly, wewe ndio ulituma watu through governor wa Nairobi.
Amemuuliza, what is wrong with you? What is happening to you, President? I will not be intimidated. That is former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Citizens rise up against Trump. This story is on World Page 23. Wananchi wa US pia walienda huko wakasema must go.
Right. I've seen one of the cartoons ameambiwa anaweza form broad-based. Aende tu asalamie Kamala Harris.
So close yet so far for brave Sevens team.
And this one we have to clap for them.
Yes.
Oh,
they
made finally to the finals of the Singapore Sevens, only coming short 21-12 against Fiji, but Kenyan lads did quite well.
Yes.
Congratulations to the Rugby Sevens team.
Absolutely. Making it to the finals,
That
that's
was
a big
quite
deal.
something, yes. On the People Daily, MPs on the spot over missing bursary cash. That's a story there. They have pictures of some watu wengi.
Did we call it wall of shame?
Well, kuna Johanna Ngeno pale of Emuru Dikir. Kuna the other MP, Bomachoge Chache. Kuna ingine Baringo North. Kuna Nyakach. Hata huyu rafiki yetu Abdirahman Mohamed Ali. Oh, hapana, si huyu ni mwingine. Abdirahman Mohamed Abdi Lafay. Hata Naisula Lesuda, Samburu West. MPs on the spot over missing bursary cash. You know, this is one big debate. And the CDF kitty majorly goes towards bursaries. So inamaanisha kuna watu, there had been claims that there were ghost students. Wanalipiwa school fees properly, but they do not exist.
Oh, wow.
Schools are sent checks, I think, wakishalipia wale wako wapo for real, pesa ingine narudi kwa MP. They pay tribute to Feroz Noroji, this legendary Kenyan lawyer. Say the passing of a legal sage and poet. I think this is one of the papers that has paid tribute to this gentleman. Chaos rocked Gachagua's church event. That's a story that we'll see across most of the front pages today. That's the People Daily.
Daily Nation, state jobs for those with godfathers. Betrayal. Now, an MP has unwittingly blown the whistle on an issue that has been a public secret for several years, and through successive administrations, political and personal interests surpassing institutions, powers in hiring teachers, police officers, and military personnel, among others. When will this blatant nepotism that has ruined youth's lives and futures end? An MP ni Betty Maina.
Alisema wanaenda status wanapewa zile employment letters za TSC. So they're the ones employing teachers.
20 is the number of teacher slots. Each of 11 MPs were given at State House to pass on to their constituents, according to MP Betty Maina. They ask here, when will this blatant nepotism that has ruined youth's lives and futures end? Wanasema pia ghost workers wamejaa. So definitely godfathers, tuseme, are messing up this country. Scandal: judge revoked hiring of 1,400 tax assistants by KRA for lack of regional balance. That's just among the ghost job opportunities that are available. Other stories here: alcohol blow set to return amid surge in road carnage, and at least 1,139 people have been killed in road accidents in the last 3 months, raising concerns about a slide back into highway slaughter and prompting authorities to reintroduce alcohol tests for drivers nationwide. Transport Cabinet Secretary Davis Churchill said yesterday that there will not they will do whatever it takes to bring sanity to the roads, and that includes the return of alcohol, among other measures to tame rising accidents. This photo here is a wreckage of a matatu belonging to members SACCO that was involved in an accident on the Bomet-Kericho highway on Saturday. The crash that involved 3 vehicles claimed 15 lives and left 14 people nursing injuries. Other stories here: chaos on the top strip of the Daily Nation. Chaos rocks Gachagua's church meeting in Nairobi that took place yesterday in Kasarani PCEA Church. A national drama festival kicks off Battle of the Titans as FEET starts. I don't know if you saw that story of Butere girls.
The play that had been banned.
Allegedly. A call from State House said, we do not want that play. Judge said, wacheni mchezo, that play will go on.
It's fireworks.
It's fireworks. About the Gen Z and whatever happened last year, June.
Budget inakuja tena.
The writer is none other than Cleo Malala. And you know what's funny is, in 2013, there was a similar occurrence with a script that was written by Cleo Malala. It was called Shackles.
A very controversial playwright,
Yes.
Cleophas Malala.
Yes.
Yes, a man of the times. There's this very interesting story here on the inside pages of the Daily Nation. Page 3, this lawyer, anaitwa
Donald Kipkorir,
amepata 1.3 billion shillings. The court has awarded him. Yes, 1.3 billion shillings legal fee windfall for lawyer Kipkorir after big win against City Hall. That's one thing. Unaweza soma on page 3. Another one, still on the same page, from the courts as well, bank manager fired for patting female colleague's backside, loses court battle. Chunga sana how you behave at work, by the way. Don't take these things for granted. Soma hapo uelewe kwamba unaweza pelekwa kotini for any of such misbehaviors. Yes, page 3 of the Daily Nation, matters from courts.
Absolutely. Other news, ODM will face Ruto in 2027, says Raila, and Mr. Odinga, who recently entered into a pact with President Ruto, says his party will challenge the incumbent in the next elections. That's the Daily Nation.
On the Star, gambling craze killing youths. Yes, we've seen this problem continuing to grow, most listed as varsity students and boda riders, pages 4 and 3. And betting in numbers, they talk about how Kenyans are spending up to 766 billion shillings cumulatively in 2024 alone. That's a whole economy. Yeah? Hii ingekuwa injected into a budget, tunafanya poa sana. Average spent daily 2.1 billion shillings in betting. 49 billion projected Kenya's gambling market in 2025. And 10,000, that's the number of direct jobs created by the industry. Meanwhile, 500,000 indirect jobs are there as well. Gambling craze. Maswala mengine pale, Ruto Kindiki keep low profile after 5-day Mount Kenya tour. Was it a success? That's a big question. Yeah? Was it a success? And Raila's ODM party suffers major financial setback ahead of grassroots polls. That's the Start today. It also pays tribute to Feroz Noroji, the lawyer, so they say a giant of law who challenged power.
You know, speaking of will it be a success, Daily Nation reports today that the president will keep off some regions. Because
kuna mahali ya kwenda. You know, one of the places was Madeira. And the MP for Madeira had put up a very big, what do you call them? This
billboard?
Billboard, yes. With his image and that of the president. And so everyone was expecting the president would come, perhaps to open a market or commission a transformer or something. But then he did not show up. He did not show up. So people in Karatina were there waiting for the president. And can you imagine how embarrassing it is for the local member, area member of parliament? Your billboard sasa atakuja toa, atambia nendeni mtoe huko.
Tumekuwa alilala hapo Madeira.
Yes, Sagana State Lodge haiko mbali sana na Madeira.
Tuangalie karikacha.
Yes, just a reminder that for our State of the Nation coming away at 6:30, it's about 5 minutes away. Dr. Makali Mulu, MP Kitui Central, Kipruto Rapkirwa, he served as a cabinet minister for agriculture in the Kibaki 1 administration. Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River, and Samuel Pogisio, who was majority leader in the Senate in the 12th Parliament and also a former ICT minister. So do stand by for that. Let's take a look at the cartoons. Tuone wanazungumzia nini.
Monday Blitz will be coming, of course.
Oh yes, we'll tell them more about Monday Blitz, of course. Haya. Start off with the Daily Nation. Yes.
still hiyo mambo ya godfathers ambayo is happening.
The controversy on now politicians controlling the employment of teachers especially. TSC appointment letters are being dished out to MPs to use them for political means. Anasema, meanwhile kuna watu hapa chini wanasema hakuna kazi na wanaambiwa get us jobs. Kwa fikra wanasema get US jobs. US hakuna kazi. 2027, they're using that as a bait for voters.
People Daily, goosey politics, caricatures here of former CJ David Maraga and of course former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i. Goosey, it's mine.
And you see, by the way, this cartoonist on the People Daily, I think this is one of his pet topics. He likes politics from that region. This is the second time I'm seeing a cartoon about these two gentlemen and what's happening in Kisii. Will they split? Will they both go for the presidency? Yes.
All right. The Standard.
Trump amefikiwa. The Standard talks about how Trump is now reorganizing the world order as we knew it. Akona fimbo pale anatandika the globe. Is definitely going to change a lot of things. Yes.
All right. Finally, the Star.
Still Trump.
Yes.
Is a man of interest.
A caricature here of Trump, of course, and President William Ruto akimwambia, well, you can try shaking her hand and go the broad-based route. Lakini hapa they're looking at people chanting, must go. Maybe pia wataambiwa that must go.
You have to do it according to the Constitution. Chunga sana.
All right, those are the caricatures. We still have time, Fred. Sasa tuangalie traffic.
Tuone kama traffic imegeuka iko upande huu. Yes, so you can see what we had mentioned earlier, especially on Thika Road. Now it's building nicely. Areas around Githurai, that section between Githurai and Kasarani is now a nice yellow, meaning traffic is there but moving. After Kasarani, it's moving slowly past Garden City Mall, heading towards Allsops. Pale matatu ni mingi. There's a bus station around Allsops. After that, the traffic that is coming from the Pangani interchange is backing up as far back as a Utali Drift, areas around Mathare Hospital. So pale, you will spend some time there, especially if you're using Thika Road. If you're coming from Kiambu Road, traffic imeanzia pale tu Muthaiga. Hapo ukifika tu Golf Club hapo, traffic inaanzia hapo. That's okay. Jogoo Road, not much change. That section between Makadara and the junction to Likoni Road, that's the only place we're having an issue. Kangundo Road imepanda kidogo, Umoja One Market, but it's heading away from town, not towards town. Wale watu kule biashara yao iko huko Ruai na Njiru. They're not interested in coming to town. Feather Estate, and now it's on the opposite direction. Guys using Outer Ring Road around Feather Estate, going towards the airport, that's where the traffic is. You would expect the traffic should be on the other side, heading towards Jogoo Road, but it's on the other side. A long stretch of red Pale Feather, heading towards the airport. Mombasa Road, nothing has changed. It's still green all the way to town. Areas from the western side, also nothing much. Ewa watu upande huo wana enjoy kwenda kazini. All right, that's the traffic situation as at 1/2 the hour. Ulikuwa unasema Monday Blitz is coming.
All right, Monday Blitz. Up next after the State of the Nation, of course, with Fred Arucho and Shutterboy. Wakiongelea matters sports zile za weekendi.
Of course, the Sevens triumphs in Singapore will dominate a lot of that conversation. EPL plus the local leagues as well.
Meanwhile, interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, TV47 News KE on X. My handle is at Ann_Dida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe.
My handle is at Fred Ndimuli.
Stay with us.
Had a grandmother they held dear. She was a traveler and a storyteller through the years. But one day she went away forever. Stories of Bulbalang were heard no longer. So Nozo and Namia moved to her house to feel her near. What brave twins they are. A new start they didn't fear. That's when the adventures begun. And her bookshelf proved to be fun now. Nozo and Namia, storytellers traveling with you.
Taarifa kubwa mtazamaji. Kipindi Base 47 cha Radio 47 naye rais wa vijana Manucho the Young Baller sasa kinakuja kwenye TV yako.
Lizuka itakuwa inadondoshwa pale naye Super DJ Aimo, the Heavyweight DJ DARVO, DJ Davo na the Beats Maestro DJ Ian. Bwana hisi ya kukosa mtu wangu.
Kuanzia tarehe 7 mwezi Aprili, tazama mahojiano ya rais wa vijana na wasanii wakali ndani ya TV 47 kuanzia saa 8 hadi 9. Base 47 sasa inakuja ndani ya TV 47.
Kali we.
Make every detail perfect and limit the number of details to perfect. Jack Dorsey, co-founder of Twitter.
Discover. The world. How it was. How it is. How it will be. Around you. Discover the world around you with us.
Did you know that a sprinkle of sugar can briefly alleviate the pain of a burnt tongue? Sugar helps to absorb excess heat and provides a soothing sensation.
Welcome to the 77% Magazine Show. We have a lot more prepared for you, including from our street debate. What do you think needs to be done more by us as a community, by government and other stakeholders?
So for the fact that people are running away because of money is a problem to me. You took an oath to save lives.
Very good points raised in that debate.
Siasa, mamlaka, sera na utawala, nani hufaidika, nani hupoteza? Katika ulimwengu wa siasa, ukweli haufichiki, lakini nani mwenye ukakamavu wa kusema? Tunauliza maswali magumu na pia majibu tunakuletea.
Hata Rigiji alituaibisha sana, acha nikuambie.
Unajua kweli ni kwamba Spika Wetangula alipigiwa kura na wabunge.
Huu ndio ukumbi, uga wa mijadala ya kitaifa, ulingo wa uchambuzi wa sera, kinamasi cha ukweli. Lakini siasa bila wewe haziwezekani. Ungana nasi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne saa 1 kuendelea. Na mimi rubani wako Elizabeth Motiko.
Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs, co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Apple.
Sunday morning. The church service at Kasarani's PCEA Mweki Church degenerated into turmoil when unidentified thugs broke into the sanctuary, where former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was present. The congregation's safety was momentarily jeopardized when Gachagua and his allies arrived for the Sunday service, following disruption from what the leaders believe was orchestrated operation by their competitors.
So tafadhali, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, wewe leo ndio umepatia vijana pesa kupitia Sakaja na ukaambia DIG I withdraw security, na nia yao haikukuwa kuharibu madhabahu. Walikuwa wametuma paka tuko na watu ambao wako na bunduki, walikuwa wametuma waje paka hapa wamtoe Rigathi Gachagua akiwa madhabahu, ati wambebe juu na juu.
So wewe rais endelea, no problem. Lakini ujue hii kitendo ya leo, uhusiano yako na kanisa ya PCA is irreparably damaged.
This was Rigathi Gachagua's first public appearance since the head of state commenced his Mount Kenya tour, as he was expected to give feedback about his former boss' remarks regarding what caused their antagonism. However, the former second-in-command, while addressing the congregation, highlighted that he had a lot to share with Kenyans, but had reserved the matter.
And I want to tell you, Rais, tafadhali, vile maneno naendelea hii Kenya, even if you eliminate Rigathi Gachagua, nothing will change. It will just complicate your politics more than it's already complicated.
Mimi nataka nikuambie Kimani Ichung'wa, umepangiwa ndani ya hiyo. Umepangiwa hapo ndani kwa hiyo kambi yenu. Na hiyo ni njia ya kutaka kukutoa.
Na tutigenda kanitha witũ wĩingĩre magerio-inĩ ma maũndũ ta marĩa ndona Nairobi ũmũthĩ. Atĩ andũ marathiĩ ku disrupt service ya kanitha, it is very sad nĩ ũndũ wa siasa, and we should never do that. Siasa itigatũme tũmenane. Siasa itigatũme tũthũkie kanitha. Na niĩ ngĩenda supportire rĩrĩa Sapit araugire rĩngĩ tuoka kanitha nĩ tũke mũndũ agome.
Gachagua stated that Kenyans will resolve political disputes at the ballot in the upcoming general elections, urging his supporters to maintain their composure despite provocations.
Mimi nataka amani katika nchi hii, na vile Malala amesema tulipotolewa, niliambia watu msitoe fujo, msiende maandamano, mnyamaze, muibe nyimbo za Mungu. Even now, tukiwa provoked, I want to ask our people to be peaceful.
And after the former DP left Kasarani, he was quick to interact with Murang'a County constituents, where he highlighted his plan to form a formidable coalition with like-minded individuals in their quest to make William Ruto a one-term president.
Huyu jamaa alikuwa amepanga ile maneno alitupangia 207 ya 40 versus 1. Kwa hivyo ile kazi mimi nafanya ni kutafuta marafiki, tukue pamoja. Mnataka niendelee kutafuta marafiki? Niendelee kutafuta marafiki? Tuunganishe pamoja.
Mike Kagwango, TV 47.
Ndio tuweze kufanya mabadiliko.
Yes, and just like that, the former deputy president is back on the front pages. Quite an unfortunate happening in Kasarani at the PCA Mwiki Church, where goons attacked an ongoing church service. That is one of the stories that is featuring across all the dailies this morning. There's no single headline that is common apart from this one on all our front pages today. What happened at the church service in Mwiki? And that's where we start off our conversation, even as we look at the aftermath of the president's trip to the Mount Kenya region last week, which ended on Saturday. And to have this conversation with me, allow me to introduce my panelists, beginning on my immediate right, Kipruto Rapkirwa, who served as cabinet minister in the Kibaki One administration. Karibu sana, Bwana Kirwa.
Yeah, thank you.
Next to Bwana Kirwa, we have Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River. Bwana Mungatana, karibu sana.
Good morning.
Makali Mulu, MP Kitui Central, is with us this morning. Karibu sana.
Good morning.
And Samuel Pogisio, who served as cabinet minister in the Kibaki One administration, as minister for ICT, Kibaki Two administration, sorry, and also served as majority leader in the Senate in the 12th Parliament. Karibu.
Good morning.
Pogisio. Unfortunate scenes we are witnessing 2.5 years into this election cycle. It's unfortunate we are here, but that incident appears to have pushed back the former deputy president to the front pages again, just a day after the president had done this tour of the Mount Kenya region. What's your comment about this whole thing, even before getting into the Mount Kenya discussion, just the happenings yesterday in Kasarani?
Yeah, it worries me, Fred, because it seems we in Kenya, we are getting so bitter with each other to the extent that you would not even want to see a friend of yours or your rival having some peaceful church service within the vicinity of your own constituency. It is something that we must also learn to manage tempers, because even if a thing went wrong yesterday with any individual in that particular congregation, we'll be talking of something else today. It is easy to plunge the country into serious and unwarranted situation where we find ourselves fighting against each other for no apparent reason. Political differences notwithstanding, we ought to rise above the fray and face some of these challenges head on, because elections are 2.5 years away. You never know. Many other alliances might arise, many other changes may arise, to the extent that some of the things we say about our own colleagues are things that we'll regret 1 year or even 6 months down the road. It is unfortunate, and we need to condemn it, not because the Honorable Gachagua is on our side of the equation, but we are condemning it regardless of whoever is involved, whoever is participating, whoever is being that kind of negative visitation is meted to. We need to condemn it by all means.
All right. Bwana Mungatana, this rising political temperatures only 2.5 years into this election cycle is very worrying. What's your take on this?
No, I think violence must be condemned by all peace-loving Kenyans. Political competition doesn't mean enmity. In fact, as a matter of fact, those that we compete against are colleagues. And in most occasions, whether they're in opposition or or let me say minority or majority, we take tea together in the Senate. So, and I know that that's what happens in other assemblies. I think Kenyans should rise to the occasion, get to know that politicians are just like lawyers. We will go and argue a case like we used to many years ago when I was in very active practice. We would argue the case, and then after the case, we will go and take tea together. And many of these people never used to understand how we were fighting so much in the court, and then we sit to take tea. But we had traditions, like straight after a case, open court, the most senior amongst you would sit and buy tea for all of us who are junior. And as the years go by, you become senior and you buy for everyone. And it doesn't matter whether you are arguing a case for or against each other. At the end of it, we are all the same. So I think that's the way Kenyans should understand, and they should also resist incitement, because I saw one of the other guys trying to say it is William Ruto who is planning this. I don't think so. I think Ruto has been around long enough to know that it doesn't pay to be violent against the other person. What matters is if you are in government, you deliver, and then you wait for the scorecard. If you're in opposition, you carry your duty to criticize the government, wait for the scorecard if the people will allow you to form government. Okay. So I think it is also irresponsible. There's some of those leaders trying to link this to the president, because there's no political gain in it.
Okay. But yet, Bwana Mulu, we are seeing a lot of this. There's a fine line between political mobilization and hiring goons to pursue or to attack your political opponent. This is not the first time we're seeing Rigathi Gachagua or an event attended by the former deputy president being raided by goons. It happened in Limuru. It happened at a church service in, I think, Meru, where the spouse of the former deputy president was attending an event. And now we're seeing it again in Nairobi. Definitely there is a pattern which involves politicians.
Thank you, Fred. Fred, we all know very well that churches are sacred places. And I don't think there is any justification, anything can justify why somebody should push violence to a church. From where I sit, I'll call this just people who don't know what they are doing. Because on a serious note, we are all politicians here, and we do compete. But even as we compete, we are not enemies. We are only competing for purposes of securing that position. And I don't think as a country we need to go to that extent where we use all means to push our opponents, either out of church or whatever it is. But for me, I see a situation where, you know, when you decide to use violence, I always believe the brain work as shut. That because if you are, the reason why we are given brains is to be able to sit down, discuss issues, and because we have brains, sort them out in a very what would I call it? In a way that you don't have to use physical means. Mm-hmm. But I know this is a situation where now there's talk about politicians being behind it, but even if there were no politicians, I think anybody who pushes violence to a church needs to sit down and rethink that approach. As you say, there seems to be now some consistency in terms of what is happening, and I think really whoever is planning should stop it. This is not the way to go. Mm-hmm. We've seen cases where a lot of us are going to church and trying to behave in church the way we would behave in markets. Fred, I want to assure you, Kenyans have a lot of challenges. They are carrying a lot of burdens. And anytime somebody walks into a church, they're looking for peace, some relief. And then when I'm seated there with my problems and you come in and then you start pushing violence to that, you are making the situation very worse. I remember at one point we had a pastor, my pastor would say, if you are in church and you see somebody dozing off, don't disturb them, because maybe that's the only place they can get some peace to be able to do. So you see that situation. So the thing is, you know, people find a lot of peace, and I'm sure Mongatare will agree with me. When you go to church, you just want to relax and you know God is now controlling everything there. So let's not go to that level. I don't want us to go to that direction. Okay. Kenyans, please stop. All right. Yeah.
Yet the use of violence and guns is not new in the Kenyan situation. I remember times of Jeshi Lamze, the Nchinkororo and others. This is not something new. Probably just happening a bit too early in the election cycle.
Fred, I think you just hit the point on the head. It is true, the nail on the head, because we're worried now that these things are coming back. They have started and they're very bad. If you meet with youth who are unemployed, who have nothing to lose, who are facing frustrations and stress, and you send them on a mission, they can be even worse than those Shinkororos and all those things. Because just for a fee, they can do worse things. And I really want to put this blame squarely on the people who agreed to be used. For example, if they mention Sakaja, as a young man, his future is bright. If it is true that he can be used, why would you, as a young person, a young leader, accept to be used? If this assignment repeats itself, you're branded forever as that violent person. The other person who will carry a lot of blame, by the way, is the IG. It doesn't matter who is the enemy of the president. It doesn't matter who is fighting him. It's your duty to protect that person. It's in the interests, actually, it's in your own interest that you protect that person. Because if something had happened in that place, for example, and it's, you know, some people were shot or dead or something like that, everybody would wonder what happened to the security which is supposed to be provided. And it's very clear that there are some people who can be told, don't provide security so and so. It doesn't make sense. So I'd like to say that the formation of groups, violent groups, allowing them to operate in this country is a recipe for chaos. It doesn't help any politician at all. It does not help the country. It may solve a problem for that moment and day, but I remember when I think Rigiji was in Limuru, and that violence could have taken out a life. That was, and you see now the area MP was branded at that particular point. The area MP was branded to be responsible for it, and that guy has never recovered from that. You can't recover from it. Mm-hmm. So allow people like Sakaja and others. Remember, if you are part of this, please withdraw yourself from it. Don't allow yourself. You have a future. And even those people who may be sponsoring all this violence, it doesn't help. You can hate the guy, but you can't help by allowing goons into the church.
All right.
And as I said, everybody has said here, that is due for condemnation. We should condemn this going to churches, entering a church and scattering what has been there. Do you know how you disorganize a whole order? You see, churches have what you call the order of service. Mm-hmm. Everything is in order. So if you disorganize that order, you are not even a small child who is in that church. Because they're supposed to be finishing one step to go to the other. Anyway, let me just say that I hope these are isolated cases in this country. If they become a trend, it will be dangerous for us even as we go towards the next election.
All right. And yes, as I mentioned, I said earlier that this happening in Kasarani yesterday quickly returned Rigathi Gachagua back to the front pages a day after the president just finished his tour of the Mount Kenya region. So let's now focus on the Mount Kenya region, and a lot of the questions are on whether or not the trip was actually successful, what the president intended for it to do or to achieve. Did he achieve it? Let's listen to some of the opinions of people on this issue. Was the trip to the Mount Kenya region by the president successful or not?
Yule muongo mkabila ambaye tulifukuza kazi alikuwa ameuzia watu uongo mingi sana. Rais akikuja huko atapigwa, hawezi kukaribishwa, ataulizwa maswali. Nyinyi mliona TV, rais alikaribishwa au kukaribishwa? Si tunasema asante kwa ndugu zetu wa Mount Kenya, na tunawaambia tuzidi kukaa pamoja hivyo. Hiyo ndio Kenya ambaye tunataka. Wajana na hiyo Kenya ambaye ule mwingine mtu muongo wa fitina na maneno mbaya anaendesha. Na unajua ubaya yake, sisi ndio tulikuwa walimu wake. Na anajaribu kutumia ile ukora yenye tulimfundisha ati kutumia kwetu sisi.
Wewe unataka kuongoza nchi, lakini matamshi yako ni ya jikoni. Matamshi yako ni ya ukabila. Wewe utaongozaje Kenya?
Naambia wale watu ya opposition wajipange sawa sawa, kwa sababu 2027 tutakanyaga hao sawa sawa, tutapita na wao.
It would appear that the former deputy president is still a big discussion. Even after the Mount Kenya trip. Was he the main subject? Was it purely a developmental tour, as the president and his handlers wanted everyone to believe? Was it a survey to find out how much damage the impeachment of the deputy president had caused? Yeah. And was it really successful in any of those parameters?
Well, in terms of optics, the president tried very much to portray a picture that he was doing very well around the mountain. But those of us who've been around for quite some time, we know the mountain, when it starts rumbling, it never stops. And when it moves away, it never comes back. I know it for the period that I've been around. And therefore, the president tried all the gimmicks, including not mounting a podium, standing between, on top of his car, and addressing people in a way that lenses and optics are created in a way that it creates an image of a huge crowd. But in terms of what I know, they should be able to do more research now, because as they say, the truth is when the candidate is away. Now that he's away from the mountain, they can get a better picture of what the mountain entails. Now, what worries me is the kind of message that you could see Cheruiyot and others, including the fact that the ile ukora tulimfundisha, which means they believe in wao ni wakora, wanafundisha ukora, but the guy has done better than the teacher who taught him ukora. So it is something that is worrying me, knowing that those in government ni wakora. because the way I take it is that I thought they had all good intentions. And it seems, and you know, these are good friends. Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto are good friends. I remember some of us were of a different opinion on the run-up to the choice of running mate. But he is the one who stuck out and he said, this is the person that I'm going to pick for as my running mate. Many reasons they gave. Now it seems those reasons have dissipated and therefore they seem to hate the fact that they have built somebody to the extent that now Rigathi Gachagua is not the Rigathi Gachagua we knew prior to 2022.
Yes.
It is another animal that they do not know how to handle and they do not know how to compensate for the 47% of all the votes garnered by the president in the last general election. It is something, and when two friends fight, at times it's not good for any one of us to interfere because they know where they parted ways. But something I want to disabuse the president of is the fact that he's lying, and we know that he's lying. The figure they have been talking about, Gachagua saying he wanted 10 billion, that figure has been changing from one speaker to the other. And therefore, let us know the truth. Mm-hmm. And you know, somebody, the stature of Rigathi Gachagua, you cannot call your president and you tell him you're going to be one-term president. It is unthinkable. And for the president to have said that, and I know him, I've known the president since 1992. Look at his eyes when he's making a point. And when the eyes are moving very fast, you know he's bordering on lying, or he's thinking about how to avoid lying, but he's on the border line between lying and trying to tell the truth according to his own gospel.
All right. And of course, Bwana Kiru has really worked with the current president from the days of Youth for KANU.
Youth for KANU. I was not in Youth for KANU, but because I was already an MP, but I know him.
All right.
He was in charge of certain operations, including selling and buying of T-shirts.
Okay. Senator, Senator, it's the president who introduced, just a day before he started his trip to the Mount Kenya region. He's the one who started talking about his former deputy in that media interview that he gave at Sagana Lodge. Now we're seeing even after the 5 days, his troops are still talking about Rigathi Gachagua. And one wonders, was that the main intention of the trip to Mount Kenya region? Gachagua start with him, end with him, and was that trip successful?
The trip was hugely successful. And I'll tell you, Fred, if you are a politician and another politician comes to your county and is able to bring 5,000, 3,000 people at the same time, and you're a local MP and you are not there, you have a lot of reason to worry. You know, if you're a senator and another politician, whether be he president, be he a member of the opposition or whatever, is able to bring 10,000 people to the county headquarters and you are not there, you are not part of the deal, you have a reason to worry. And for me, the trip was hugely successful, both politically and in terms of the development. Why I say this? Because the president hit at the issues that took him there. He talked about the tea, talked about the coffee, he talked about the roads, he talked about the industrial parks, he talked about employment of teachers and all these things that he said in himself, because I was following, although I was in Tana River, but I was following. He said, this is the thing. We have an exam that we have to sit in 2027. And you are the people. And you people are clever. Nyinyi wa Kenya mnajua, mko na akili. You have given the president a job. You have given the governor a job. You've given the senator a job, the MP a job, the MCA a job. Now, you have the marking scheme. And in 2027, you will be checking against each one of them. My marking scheme as a senator for Tana River is different from the marking scheme of William Ruto as president and how he performed in Tana River. The marking scheme of a governor, if he's going to run, is different from the marking scheme of the senator. So let's say this. The president was very open, and he even said, what is the big deal about this whole thing? Why are we fighting? Let us wait for the time. And when the time comes, the people will decide. They will say who has performed, who has not performed. And on that score, I think the president sent a very good message. And the message is, let's focus on what we were called to do. Let me also add this, and I think Kenyans need to learn. You know, Kenyans need to learn from politicians who have been there, who have been successful. I remember when we were in the government and Raila Odinga was playing opposition. One thing with Honorable Raila, even if he's in the opposition, and the president is going, say when he was MP for Langata, and the president is going to Kibra, he would be there. When the president is going to a region where like the Nyanza region, Raila would be there. And he would say his piece. And the president would say his piece, which tells you that we are all serving the same people. And there's no need of aggro. And I'm speaking because I've been inside elected, I've failed to get elected. I ran for governor, I wasn't elected. And I ran for MP, I was elected. And then now I ran for senator, I was elected. And, you know, the people who are elected and the people who are not elected, we are all the same people. It's just that someone is an office holder. And I am one of those people who really believes that if we are given an office, do what you are supposed to do. So for me, that trip on the presidential level was extremely successful. He talked the right things. And I think, unfortunately, media is not interested in that. And I will say this again. Let me say this, Fred. Media wants drama. Media wants stuff that creates news. So a lot of the stuff that the president was doing was in social media, not mainstream media. That is where we were seeing exactly what is happening. Or if you are following live, you would see what is happening. But drama and what, like now, this issue of, you know, trying, even, you know, it's a very unfavorable, you know, comparison. You're saying what Gachagua has done in whatever has brought him to the headlines. That tells you all these meetings for 5 days, they are not headline news. But what is headline is someone trying to create chaos around.
And I understand because you said at the presidential level.
For me,
yes.
Kenyans need to understand, and even the politicians who are in this business, they need to know that we have been called to do specific duties. And when the president is giving his scorecard, what is your business as a local MP fighting?
Let's focus on the politics of the former deputy president, because many people saw this trip as probably a survey by the president just to gauge just how much damage had been caused by the impeachment of his deputy. On that score alone, do you think he would understand just how much damage was caused?
You know, the thing is, when you look at our constitution, it says that the presidency is a symbol of unity. And for me, anybody who would want to shout at the president when they're in your region would be stupid. So the so-called success, from where I sit, should have been expected. If the president says to come to Kitui Central today, where I'm the member of parliament and I'm in the minority, and obviously I don't support him, I will be there to usher him into my constituency, because he's the president of the republic, and he's our president, even if we didn't vote for him. So on that note, I would imagine that what happened in central Kenya is nothing we would not have imagined that it will happen. The only thing is now, when you get to the nitty-gritty in terms of whether he scored anything politically, that's a different question. And I think while it might have been gotten some warm reception in the area, politically, I don't think he scored much. Because the signs, look at what happened to my good friend Kimani Ichung'wah. Look at what happened to the Laikipia women rep. she's called the commissioner. I'm forgetting the name.
Jane.
Jane.
Kagiri.
So the thing is, you could see for the local leaders, it was not easy for them. But it was easy for the president because of what I said earlier. Because Kenyans see the presidency as a sign of national unity. So why should we attack an office? We should be uniting us. But when they come to their people, they direct on a day-to-day basis. The ground was hostile. The other thing which I think didn't go very well is people imagined that when the president would go there, and we have said this many times, we are in the third year of this Kenya Kwanza government. The third year, we are not in the first year. And I think now, anybody who is serious, we should be seeing some serious work having been completed and being launched. It is not commissioning projects here starting. You know, the thing is, if you're in a third year of your period and you have 5 years, it means if you are just to do a simple mathematics, you should have achieved about over 50% of your promises. And that's the question I always ask, that has this government done about 50% of what they promised Kenyans? And if you listen to the people, like yesterday's paper, I think it was the Standard where they were saying, like the border, you know, there were pockets who were properly lined up. You know that, because they said it, it's not a secret. But they were saying they wish that they had time to ask the president some questions which are challenges to them, but they couldn't get that time. And they were saying, when he comes next, even though we will be looking forward to get the money, but here we will get the opportunity to discuss with the president some of the challenges we are facing as border sector. And what it says is, while politically, and the thing might have looked good from whatever you projected in the screens, I think in reality, the truth of the matter is, I don't think Central Kenya will come back as Honorable Kiro said. These guys have decided, I think they have left, and the president could try to get them back, but I think he has a lot of work to do to achieve that objective.
For the president to make a decision going towards 2027 about his relationship with Mount Kenya region, this was the best time to gauge that. What do you think the president found out from it?
Yeah, exactly, Fred. I think the best person to really answer your question would be the president himself. The person who really experienced this trip is the president. If you had to ask William Ruto today, what was that 5 days like, I think he would say he struggled. It wasn't easy. And it's typical of all of us politicians, by the way. When you're into your third year after elections, you all struggle because you may have promised certain things, and by the third year you have done nothing. You will struggle. My only fear is that when the president maybe asked his people, his lieutenants, are we ready to go there? The lieutenants must have said, oh, piece of cake, just come. It's easy. It's never easy. By the way, if you look at the body language, the president had to raise his voice more times just to be heard. And that's not what William Ruto expected of his entry into Central Kenya. Remember, the mountain was the place that he did not have to struggle during the campaign times. This is the place where he actually did not even have to raise his voice. He simply, he would introduce everybody and there were pleasantries. Today, he goes there, he tries to introduce some people, and they're rejected. That is a very good sign. But it was good he went there, I agree. It's good for him to have gone there. He's the only one who knows how it feels to struggle in a place where he had a good time. But also there's a telltale sign that it wasn't very successful. And that is hearing people like Cheruyot, Farouk, and others speaking yesterday in church. None of them spoke about how successful it was. It was all about Rigiji. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? What does that tell you in church? What does that tell you? It tells you that actually the results were not very easy. I say it was good the president went to Central Kenya now, midterm, so that if he has any adjustments to make, if he has any way of trying to revert, that was like research moment. He collected enough information. It wasn't easy, by the way, if you ask him. It's not easy for any of these guys. If you're midterm in your elections, you must now begin to review and say, how am I going to pick up from here? My only problem is when you have a problem, you cannot dig any further. You should stop digging. Stop promising more. Stop digging. Just stop there and start dealing with the things that you have already promised. And I think that if he does his calculation well, if he gets the right connections right now, he has time to either rebuild or completely re-strategize in another direction.
All right. And yes, we've had many leaders talking about what will happen going forward. What about the president himself? We have a story that's, where he says, I am ready to go home should Kenyans feel unsatisfied with my performance. Let's watch that story.
President William Ruto's allies in the Mount Kenya region faced a tough crowd after Kiambu woman MP Anwa Moratha was heckled in Githunguri, her home county.
Viongozi wakichaguliwa wanapotelea Nairobi, wakipotea Nairobi wanakuja wakati wa uchaguzi. Nani aliwafundisha kupigia watu makelele? Basi makelele sasa itoshe hapo.
Also heckled again was Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah, the second time this week during Ruto's tour of the region. Ichung'wah braving the heckling before the president.
Kazi ya kelele isikuweke uoga hata kidogo, sababu ile kazi tulikupea ni hiyo ya maendeleo. Asante, Mungu akubariki.
President William Ruto is using the tour to woo the mountain back to the government, saying he is ready to face the axe in 2027 should he fail to deliver his promises to the region and country.
Mimi ile mulinipatia, mukaniambia enda nyorosha elimu. Elimu nimenyorosha, nimeweka CBC mutaratara mzuri, nimeajiri walimu 76,000, nimeweka pesa kwa university na TVET, kilimo nimenyorosha, mnapata mapato zaidi, barabara ndio hiyo mimi najenga, soko ndio hii, sitima ndio ile. Mutakuja kuniuliza mtihani, mimi nitakuja kufanya mtihani yangu, nyinyi mtasahihisha, nikipita mimi naendelea, nisipopita mimi naenda kulima. Hakuna problem. Ama namna gani jameni?
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, who put on a strong show, not just defending the Yes Man mantra, but also campaigning for Ruto's development agenda and re-election.
Sisi maneno ya siasa tunajua ikifika tutapiga siasa wakati huo, lakini kwa sasa tuhudumie wananchi, tuheshimu wananchi, tuheshimu viongozi wote ili tukue na nafasi nzuri ya kushughulikia yale maneno ambayo ni ya muhimu kwa wananchi wetu wa Nyeri na wananchi wa Mount Kenya na wananchi wa Kenya kwa jumla.
Nyeri Governor and former DP Rigathi Gachagua's ally Mutahi Kahiga, who has been blowing hot and cold during the tour, welcoming the president for the second time in Nyeri County.
Lakini tukiangalia rekodi yako, umebakisha mara ingine 45 ya kuja hapa. Kwa sababu tuko na rekodi ya vile mambo yako vile ulikuwa unakuja. Na ukija tumepata mambo kama stadium hii, Your Excellency. Miaka 7 imekwama. Asante sana.
Analysts are keenly observing whether the president's tour will pay off in the restive region as Gachagua and his allies brace to water down the president's tour. Apul Kamau, TV47.
The president is not known to talk about the possible loss of an election come 2027. This could be telling as well of his own assessment of the trip.
No, you're really mixing up.
No, the question is for Wanakirwa.
Or does he want to speak before I speak? No.
Maybe he wants to go first.
He'll get his opportunity.
Can I go first?
Yes.
You'll get your chance.
Yeah, okay. You know, Fred, the Honorable Danson Mungatana is getting worried for nothing. I'm not about to say anything bad about the president. But I think he's being realistic that any election, unless somebody is already predetermined the results, can go either way. He may win out of Mount Kenya or any other part of the country, or he may lose. So I think he's being realistic and he's being practical. But I just wanted to emphasize one thing that the Honorable Samuel Pogisho said. you realize those who are away from Nairobi were condemning Rigathi Gachagua at the tail end of the president's visit to Mount Kenya. And those who are in Nairobi wanted to interfere with this function, which means, therefore, there must have been some background information that, yes, Gachagua is not as weak as we thought. He is not a pushover. He is likely to cause a lot of trouble. So that explains why they visited mayhem in the PCA charge yesterday. And that is a sign that they are getting panicky. Remember, President William Ruto has never lost an election since he started this journey in 1997. And therefore, to lose this particular election for him is spelling a lot of panic to himself and to his team. And to confirm that, the picking of the Honorable Ruku as minister is to precipitate a by-election and therefore test himself in that by-election. Should he win, he will be sending message that the rest of the mountain is okay. And that therefore means he has a test ahead of him. But knowing William Ruto the way I do, he was not doing that visit for Mount Kenya region. It is to tell the rest of the country, if the mountain is still with me, who are you to decide that you want to leave me? Because it is not well. It is not like the 2022 general election, where he was popular generally around the country, and particularly in certain regions. Even the Kalenjin nation may not reject him, but the number of votes he's going to get from that particular part of the country, unless there is a bit of manipulation, is likely to decrease because there is no enthusiasm among the general supporters. Number two, there are people who are thinking differently. Western Kenya, which enjoyed a bit of support, apart from Raila's win in a number of counties, is likely to go differently in the coming election. And therefore, this Mount Kenya trip was not for Mount Kenya. It was for the rest of the country to say, okay, if Mount Kenya is still with him, so shall we be with him.
Okay. Senator, I know, but we've heard the president say, nimejipanga. We've also heard the president ask, mimi nakaka kama mtu anaweza shindwa kwa uchaguzi. Then he comes and talk about the possibility that he may lose. Well, it's a new thing to us.
You know, this whole media coverage, it's so warped. The guy speaks so much about the development, the plans, and then he says that I have a scorecard that you are going to judge. If I pass, you return me. If I don't pass, you return me. Then the headline there, like you put, I'm ready to go home. I mean, surely. It's a very warped kind of thing. And this is why I say I have a problem with media. And it's the same media that misleads some people into thinking they are viable candidates. When they don't go home, they don't hit the ground. They don't move at all. Somebody is a presidential candidate and he moves within only 3 counties. And he says, I'm a presidential candidate. Another one, he's telling us we should buy cannabis. And then he disappears or sell cannabis. And then we should wait for him in 2027 to come and excite the crowds again. My friend, politics is a serious business. And you need to invest your time, your energy and everything. And let me tell you something. The people who were jeered in maybe 1 occasion or 2 occasions in the president's entourage. This is a person who is cheered in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the one that he is, jeered, you make a big issue about it. If I'm Kimani Ichung'wah, surely, and then I'm not in my county, I'm not in my constituency, and then somebody says something bad against me in another constituency, it's really not a reflection of how I'm doing. And you know, the media can paint you like that, and then when you win your election, they say you've rigged it. Let me say this again. There is politics, the real politics, which means going home, sitting down with the people, taking the blows, answering the hard questions, and there is that politics of you are waiting for the elections. I mean, I have been in meetings with the president, and you have leaders, who are not cheered. They are jeered in public meetings, and they are within their constituency or within their area of jurisdiction. Now, and you had governor of Kiambu, Matangi. He said, hii mambo ya watu kukaa Nairobi, alafu wanakuja 2027, he was saying something, that the people are not happy about certain leaders. And it is a reality that many people, and you will be surprised, by the way, when the president says, I want to come to your areas, there are people who say, please don't come. We need to go and organize. Those are people who don't go home. But there are people also who say, immediately the president is coming, a minister is coming, or some big shot from Nairobi is coming, say, please, please come, we've been waiting for you. Mm-hmm. Why? Because he has been on the ground. But it is a reality that there are some people who have not been going home, especially after Honorable Gachagua was impeached. They started telling us here that the ground is hostile, what. But I know, I've been to a meeting where the president has said, you guys, I have a program. Also, I'm a candidate. I have been a candidate. I was elected by these people. I have a program I've organized. If you are not ready to come, it's okay, don't come. If you are ready to come, come. Because you have delayed this journey of mine to your area for too long. I've called you as a courtesy that because we also got the same vote basket to accompany me. But the fact that you're an MP or you're a governor or you're a senator, whatever, should not stop me from going to the area. If the first time we have postponed, the second time we have postponed, now you are spoiling my program. Mm-hmm. Let me go, because I was also elected. So I want to say this again, and I want to repeat this. Media, I know you want to sell, you want to sell, and the news is when the dog, it's not when the dog has beaten the boy, it's when the boy has beaten the dog. But I'm saying, please say something realistic. And the reality is, my friend, as a member of parliament, as a governor, as a senator, if someone is calling a crowd of 5,000 people, 10,000 people, and you are not there, my friend, you are making a mistake. And then let me finish by saying this. Those who say the president went to do politics, look at the background of what we were watching there. We are watching, and even not any other person, the governor himself saying, thank you. This stadium was stuck for 7 years. So the president is doing his thing. Okay. And those others who are not doing their thing, they have to answer to the people. But trying to say that, let me finish by saying, William Ruto is a very, very strong candidate for 2027. And I want somebody to stand here and tell me today that they have a candidate who will win against Ruto. Yes. Ruto is a hard worker. Yeah. Ruto is delivering on some of his promises. Ruto is a serious campaigner, and there is no match for him Senator. In this setup.
There's a headline here on page 4. It says why Ruto snubbed 2 hostile areas on Mount Kenya tour. There are some places where he felt it would be uncomfortable, especially areas around Madeira, where the area MP had already erected a billboard, so the people there were expectant. If President William Ruto is a serious candidate for 2027, which he is, he must be concerned that there are areas, or because all these people voted for him in 2022, he must be concerned that he has lost ground to some extent, to whatever extent. You said the trip was not as successful as he may have thought. That should worry him, don't you think?
You know, it's only that my friend Senator Mugatana might have nothing else to say than what he is saying. Because you know the truth of the matter is, the president is a consumer of NIS reports. And this is on a daily basis. And I can tell you for sure, if there is anybody who will be the easiest to beat in 2027, it will be President Ruto, unless a lot happens between now and 2027. We're in this country. I may not be a consumer of NIS report, but you know, where we sit called the National Assembly is a congregation of the whole country. You have every part of the country being represented there. And when we are taking tea, not when we are in the plenary, when we are taking tea, Mungatana knows there's some tea and mandazi there. When we are taking that, there's a lot of discussion about what is happening in this country. And I'm telling you, if Senator Mungatana wants to help the president, let him tell the president the truth of what is happening. There is still time. He could do a number of things, maybe to change as we approach 2027. But if the status quo remains by him confirming to him that things are good on the ground, I tell you, he will be beaten by anybody. Kenyans will get out of their houses to go there to vote somebody called William Ruto out of office. And they might care very little about who is replacing him, so long as he will be out. And that's what I'm saying. When he says there's nobody who can outcompete Ruto in terms of campaign, this is just a statement, I'm telling you. Ruto has been campaigns, other people have been campaigning. My party leader, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, this time, is going to be the most serious campaigner in this country to make sure that he gets this thing. And we are going to be fully behind him to push that. And I'm telling you, as we are now preparing ourselves, we want them to continue telling the president, you are doing well, you are doing well. So that when that time comes, we will show them that. But I'm telling you, the other thing they want to do, which is true, and which must be done, I think as you are saying, Fred, the president is a very good politician in terms of when he's on as a mic. And I like what Honorable Kirwa was saying, that by looking at his eyes, you could see, you could actually say, now he's about to start lying to Kenyans. Because he has been with him for many years. Somebody who has worked with him for over 30, going to 40 years, you must know them. So we are saying, as a country, I was just, if you do a quick scan of the papers, my concern was one, that this trip to central Kenya, Fred, even though we don't want to say it here, was very expensive for the country. Because a lot of resources were spent in mobilization so that they get these crowds you could see. And Kenyans are asking, could this money not have been used in a better way by either supporting the health sector, which is almost collapsing, by supporting the education sector, which is collapsing because schools have no capitation at all, by doing other things like doing our roads, which have already been, and for your information, Fred, today we are in the month of April. Very few, I would say not even more than 10% of development resources has been released to the counties or even to areas like CDF. And then you see this kind of wastage. I think we have a reason to worry as a country and be concerned.
All right.
A serious reason.
And of course, we will continue with this conversation, but let's take a short break. We'll be back and I'll give Bwana Poegisio an opportunity to talk about President William Ruto's chances come 2027. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Taarifa kubwa mtazamaji, kipindi Base 47 cha Radio 47, naye rais wa vijana Manucho the Young Baller sasa kinakuja kwenye TV yako.
Lizuka itakuwa inadondoshwa pale naye Super DJ Aimo, the Heavyweight DJ DARVO, DJ Davo na the Beats Maestro DJ Ian. Bwana, hisi ya kukosa mtu wangu.
Kuanzia tarehe 7 mwezi Aprili, tazama mahojiano ya rais wa vijana na wasanii wakali ndani ya TV 47 kuanzia saa 8 hadi 9. Base 47 sasa inakuja ndani ya TV 47.
Kali we. This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Frederick. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Frederick is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni Punet.
Ni Punet.
Punet.
So you guys knew about...
Piga.
Sawa basi. Nasema, nilata ungevi the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Did you know that applying a cold press, such as a bag of frozen vegetables wrapped in a cloth,
can help reduce swelling and pain from minor sprains and strains.
The Chinchuan Emperor has 11 sons, but the 8th prince died young, so there are exactly 10 princes together.
I have a plan for how to assign the girls, but there's still one left.
You don't want to?
Untie me right now! You're a bunch of... Let me go!
You don't understand. Our Prince Shang, he has been through so much.
How dare you drink my tea!
This selection, there are many beauties from each state. It's a pity Princess Yuanxing of Sichuan didn't come. She's a beauty among beauties.
You're the boss. How can an employee let the boss sleep on the couch?
I don't think a boss would want to share a room with an employee.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47. Before we move to another discussion, I want to give Bwana Pugisha an opportunity to talk about President William Ruto's chances come 2027. Even just analyze his own words and his own body language after the trip to Mount Kenya.
Well, Fred, I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. It is a moment of truth for William Ruto. This is it. It's midterm. It can go up or slide down. This is a moment to review. And it's going to review, using this trip, is going to review a lot of things. You'll see a lot of people even moved around. Things will be removed, people will be moved, because it's going to be a very serious thing. This has taught him something about the way Kenyans think and politics are. I'm a bit worried, though, that Senator Mungatana thinks that it's the media to blame. I worry, and I think what William Ruto should help us with is to appoint Mungatana Minister for ICT and Information. So that will really help us, because he will then understand what the media... The propaganda. In fact, he should talk to Kishangani to see what happened to Kishangani. What happens actually in the media it's not the media to blame. You come there, I was in that space, so I understand. It's not easy if you're a media person to select what comes on and so on. But let me just say this. We have a moment that is the watershed moment for the next election. This is it. For the opposition to take advantage of his weaknesses and his right now where he is, and for him to strengthen his positions so that he's got a future. What I know is William Ruto has to face a different battle from the one he faced in 2022. This is going to be a game changer for him. And this is the moment for him to seriously consider the people who tell him things are okay and he knows things are not okay. This is the moment when he's going now to decide who are his closest friends, who is going to be in the forefront of his army to fight, his political army, that is, and for him to actually begin to think through his statement that he's even willing. If he loses, it's okay. If he wins, it's okay. That statement is not easy coming from the current president, because he's never experienced it. And I think he should really begin to use that statement of his to value or to validate or evaluate his team and his politics from now on. I think we're going to see a change. If he really wants to be the candidate for the 2027, we have to see a change in the way he looks at the world. Okay. Everything has been rosy, has been easy, chest thumping, promises, but now reality check. And I think this is a moment for it. And if I were in a position to advise, I would have said this is the what we would call a crisis moment for him.
All right. A crisis may definitely come with an opportunity as well. But talking about President William Ruto's chances come 2027, or even his occupation of the office of president, one person thinks that he should not be president that he is not fit to hold the office of president. And that person is none other than the former CS for Public Service, Justin Muturi. In a media interview last week, he made very serious allegations against his former boss. You've been a cabinet minister. Have you ever seen anything close to that? The kind of revelations, the kind of statements made by Justin Muturi immediately after being fired? Is it simply a case of the beta X, or is it something that we've seen big people being fired or demoted? Have you ever seen a case where a cabinet minister has come out and said, that guy is not fit for office?
I think Muturi has been consistent, not only this year. I met him last year. I think we were launching the book of Cicely Kariuki, the former minister. She wrote some memoirs and happened to have attended the same function. So I sat with him and I told him, how is this situation? As usual, when we are away from the cameras, we speak the truth. He told me, your friend is impossible to advise. He spends a lot of time advising us on how we should advise him. It was at the Nairobi Club. So at times people think that we make up these stories. We don't make them up because this is the reality. And Muturi has, for the last 4 months, anybody is saying so because he has lost the opportunity to be minister, is deluding himself. Muturi has been very clear. He did not believe in this regime, and it's not that he has done so because he has left the place. He has done so because he believes in so. Now, the second issue which many people are criticizing him is about the issue of raising issues of corruption. You remember, there are a number of things that we knew they wanted him to sign when he was minister, when he was the AG. And he himself decided not to engage in any activity that would prejudice his position in future when history of this country is rewritten. And therefore, I was surprised to see our friends and colleagues from ODM vilifying Muturi and reminding us of certain bills in the National Assembly about certain construction of a structure within the premises of Parliament. Now, why have they not talked about that? Why are they talking about it now? So it is a situation that we in Kenya, we choose to say what we are saying because we are on this side of the equation. We choose not to speak the truth about what we perceive as a national problem. Yes, we know President William Ruto, I've said it so many times, is a micromanager. I've said President William Ruto runs the risk of making himself a dictator in this country, save for the fact that we have a robust constitution that will not allow him to do those things. Therefore, I was happy when he realizes that he can also lose the election. Because elections, unlike what the Honorable Mungatana says, elections is not about those who vote for you. In many cases, you lose elections because there are many people who are voting against you. And they could pick anybody else. If they were even, the opposition was to pick somebody, even like myself, I may cause a lot of trouble to him. Okay. Because any politician can be made what he is by those who develop consensus. In 2001, when the polls were taken about the politicians who are likely to take over from Moi, Kibaki's name was not even among the first 7. But when it came to the moment of Kibaki Tosha, he got 66% of all the votes cast in that particular election. So anybody can be created, Kalonzo or any other person. And once we have that consensus, we are likely to win hands down. It is the disorganization of the opposition that may allow William Ruto to squeak through back to leadership. Otherwise, if we are organized, I don't see him winning the next election at all.
All right. And even before we consider the next elections, Mungetana, some of the statements are very strong. Unfit to hold the office of president, irredeemably corrupt, and a one-man show, coming from Justin Bidan Muturi, about less than a week after he left cabinet.
I think we need to just ask J.B. Muturi, what are the functions of the office of the Attorney General? Okay. The Attorney General in Kenya now is the legal advisor to the president. He's also the legal advisor to the cabinet and the government. So he is the lawyer who takes instructions and gives his opinion. But the government is his client. You get? So if your client is supposed to sign an agreement for sale of property, you want to sell your house, you want to buy a car, you want to get into a job contract, you want to sign the contract for the tender, it is the client who signs. But you prepare the papers. You advise the client, no, these terms are not good, these terms are good, let's adjust the contract, let us sign this contract, now it is good. So J.B. Muturi tells us that he was told to sign a contract at the airport in Dubai, and he declines it. And he was then Attorney General. Now, it is a question of believability now. Is the function of the Attorney General actually to do that? You know? And Kenyans should listen to this. These are facts. Last week, Honorable C.S. William Oparanya was in the House, and we were questioning him about an issue relating to laid off workers and people who wanted to be paid back their money, okay? And one of the questions I asked him is, why write to the Attorney General? Why seek a legal opinion? Why can't you solve this problem of these workers without? He said, no, I had to get the opinion, written opinion, because the AG, he works in a very formal way. The written opinion of the Attorney General. Now, he says this related to the Adani deal, and he talks in a very casual manner. Now, if I were him, I would say, this is the opinion of the Honorable Attorney General. You cannot enter this agreement. And I'm writing to who? I'm writing to the Minister for Transport and Communication. Okay? And I have a copy of this. You know? But to say, oh, I was told to sign in the airport, I was on my way to India, I don't know, Pakistan for a state visit, it looks, the believability there, it looks tenuous, let me say. So that is one thing I want to say. The second thing is, if you are the Attorney General and you feel very strongly that your client, in fact your main client, is not listening to you, and then you feel that he's not even fit, he's corrupt and what, yeah? And then the same person gives you an appointment as the CS Public Service, and quickly you go, you take it. At that juncture, if you are honorable as you want us to believe you, you should have come out and told us, no, look, I have given my legal opinion, here it is in writing, I don't agree with the way Ministry X is doing things, Ministry X is doing things, Ministry Y is doing things, the President is doing things or whatever. So for that reason, I'm unable to continue as Attorney General, or I'm unable to take any other position. So again, with respect to our former speaker, with respect to a person who is in the legal profession who went there even before me, I think some of these arguments are very tenuous. Okay. And that Kenyans should get out of this sensational, media reporting, get to the facts, get to know what is happening. And it was live, but I'm saying again, get to the facts. You just speak, someone says, oh, this is unfit for to hold the office of president. My friend, millions of Kenyans voted for this person. Even if you know, Fred, I must respect you for the position you hold there. You are not voted there, but you are our moderator, and I will respect you for that. Now, millions of us went and lined up, supported President Ruto and voted for him. You, one person, to stand out there and say, I think is not fit, and then suddenly, all media now picks up that quote. you know, and says he's unfit. I mean, don't you think there's a problem there? Does it mean
just reporting what someone, a former cabinet secretary, talks about?
No, but does it mean why give so much weight to a person? I've raised 2 issues there, and you don't scrutinize. Even those guys who are interviewing the person there were not asking these questions. What is the role of the AG?
But he said those things either way. Bwana Makali Mulu, do you think these are statements we can ignore?
Fred, what you try to do, you escape the critical questions I'm asking.
And probably there'll be an opportunity to critically interrogate those.
I'm trying to say this, that you cannot ignore the will of the people and say only one person who says somebody is unfit, that is the person that...
Bwana Makali Mulu, what's your assessment of this?
You know, Fred, I think was it about a month ago when the president said J.B. Muturi was very incompetent as a minister. So the president used the word incompetent.
As Attorney General, yes.
As Attorney General. And I asked myself, if J.B. Muturi was incompetent, just Gatana is asking, why did he then appoint him a minister for public service? Because if he was incompetent, he should have sacked him. Just the same question Senator Mugatana is asking, that why you couldn't interrogate those statements further. But I think the thing is, J.B. Muturi is just not a normal Kenyan. He's somebody who has been senior in many. He was at one point, he was third in the ranking, being the Speaker of the National Assembly. He has worked with the president for many, many years. He has known him over time. He has sat with him on a table signing a coalition agreement that I will work with you. And then one day, one morning, he comes and says, this particular person called the President of the Republic of Kenya is unfit to be the President of Kenya. He is extremely corrupt. Do you think Kenya should take those statements just casually? I think that should not be the case. Why should Kenya should be asking themselves this? Why these statements are not any other statements? And that's what I'm saying, Rory. We need to interrogate that statement. You know, I'm sure what I'm about to say is applicable to all of us. Where I come from, we say that when you want to trap a rat, because you know rats are a nuisance, and they would feed on our maize and everything. So we lay traps for them. When the rat is here, and you have a trap here, and then the rat is trapped, the kind of noise it makes when it's trapped and the kind of noise it makes when it's not trapped are totally two different noises. The president discussed with Kenyans, convinced Kenyans vote for me, and we voted for him because he had never been the president. Now that he is the president, I think we have a right to say what we see him as the president of the Republic of Kenya. And that's what Mutura was saying, JB was saying, that now this gentleman is now the president of the Republic of Kenya. And being the president, I've been worked with him for the last 2 years and a half, and I have made my conclusions that he's not fit to be the president, because now he's the president, and he's extremely corrupt. He could not say that before he became the president, just as an analogy of the rat. So I think, really, Mugatana, instead of saying we take these statements casually, you should be advising your boss that he needs to sit down and reflect, do internal reflection. Because I don't think it's only Muturi who has been using those two statements. I think a majority of Kenyans have been using them. Actually, the other day, there was a drama. You remember the drama?
Majority of Kenyans?
The normal school drama. Some schools, majority of the students, if you have been watching even in the media, in the social media, that's what is happening. Our young kids, and this has been very evident when you see the public, you know, the president is addressing Kenyans, and everybody who will say, Uongo, Uongo, Uongo. Which other president was able to experience that since this republic became independent?
Fred, can I have a comeback on that?
Because we cannot ignore some of these things. I think it's
allow me to
important.
spread this time equally. Yeah.
It's important, Fred, that, and I think really, I like what Honorable Pongisi was saying. I think it's time the president listened to other people, not what friends like Mugatana are telling. Because I think Mugatanas are telling we are doing well, and he will realize he's not doing well when it will be told.
Fred, and I need to get a couple.
Yes,
to be
because
fair.
okay, I'll be fair to you this way, because we have exactly 9 minutes. We have exactly 9 minutes, and I'll give you an opportunity. Bonapogisio is here to speak on the same, so I'll give you yours, and it will be the final time you speak.
Closing
Yes,
remarks.
2.5 minutes.
You can't mention me and then you don't want to give me space.
Go ahead, Senator.
Okay, let me just say this. Every politician knows that the way people react to you depends on the circumstances, okay, of the moment and even where you are. So if I go to my marketplace in the county and people are shouting something against me or something that suggests negativity, it does not mean, by the way, that they will not vote for me. And trust me, and I'm saying this again and again and again, the president is focused on his agenda. All these things, J.B. Muturi, I don't know saying what, statements being thrown around here that majority of Kenyans are saying this. I am challenging Mheshimiwa here to tell me that they have a candidate who is going to beat the record, because when you are running on your second term, it is a different race from your first term. Your first term, you are introducing. Your second term, you run on record. When I'm going back to Tana River to run, it will be on record. On my record, or when a governor is defending, when an MP is defending, it's on record. It's different from the first race. So obviously, the way we will approach that campaign will be different. But I want to tell
your parting shot, yes,
that we have stabilized the dollar from where it was. We have brought down the prices of fertilizers. We have brought down the prices of maize meal. We have supported farmers in coffee and tea. We have, in fact, managed our debt situation to the extent that we no longer talk about debt in this country. Now, all these other issues may be there. We have employed teachers. Okay. We have kicked off blue economy. We have kicked off mining sector. And we have opened up the Northeastern. I'm just telling you, we have a record to talk about. Okay. We have started affordable housing. We have started the SHA. People are, if you are there for the live interview on Sunday, where Moses Kuria was attending, people on the ground were talking about their experiences with the universal health care. So I'm just trying to tell this. Fred, let me finish.
I need to be fair to everyone, yes.
I'm being fair, and I'm being fair by saying that we are running on a record.
Okay.
All these other issues that are being bandied here,
and out of
this
time,
is entertainment.
Asante,
and
Senator.
we will defeat these people because
Thank you,
they have never
Senator.
come up with a candidate.
Bonapogisio, you go next because of time, Senator.
Even today, I challenge them.
Let's allow Bonapogisio.
They don't have a
It's 2 years to election.
Bonapogisio, your final remarks.
That's the test today.
Senator, let's allow Bonapogisio to go.
Fred, I'd like to donate the rest of my time to Mungatana because I like to hear more of those things he's saying. Because the list. By the way, you speak like you should be a cabinet minister, sure.
Yeah.
My take on these things is let's be back on track. The seriousness of the matter is we are in a country which has a lot of problems. That rosy painting is not there. By the way, if you continue saying these things in a rosy way to Kenyans, it's very annoying. Because if you look at it, seriously, the level of frustrations in this country, from people who don't have anything, it's a very serious. That's why young people today are completely frustrated to the extent that you hear a lot of suicides, you hear a lot of people murdering. Simple cases. Just within the week, somebody gets angry, moves to kill his children, kill his wife. There's a lot of frustration in the country. So let's not paint a very successful rosy picture to Kenyans right now. Let's come back and say to Kenyans, by the way, this is what we promised, and give them a timetable of what's going to happen, rather than saying we've done it already, we've done this already. I mean, there's a lot that's undone. And it's true of any government. We are already very clear that our economic situation is not good. I mean, even the Minister for Treasury is saying that. Everybody's saying that. So if we know that's our situation, let's take stock of what we have. Okay. Let's take stock of where we could have actually made mistakes. The more we spend public monies badly, and I've said it here, I say it again. I say, why has it become so easy for people to steal from government these days? Why has it become so easy?
Okay.
Why has it become so easy for people to spend our money anyhowly? Anybody now, including, I don't know whether Mungatana uses choppers, but anybody now who is anybody, choppers to anything. And whose money is that? Seriously speaking, we are becoming high spenders for things we don't have. Okay. So I'm just saying, let's recoil, let's come back. Actually, I should suggest that this is a moment for a meeting of minds of Kenyans again. And if the president wants to help Kenyans, he should begin to ask, where should we head? Can we come back together to ask ourselves which direction we should head and what should we do? What are the next steps for this country? If we continue this way, celebrating what we have achieved, 2027 will find us and we will be at a place where we cannot run the next government. Okay. And so let's be very careful. I think I should just say we should really come back to reality. This is a moment for reality check. And Mungatan, let me tell you, let's not spread what you call rosiness. And maybe I should end there. Yeah.
Yes. I'll give you time just for a parting shot only.
Well, I think it's useful, while I do appreciate the Honorable Mungatana as to make the picture look better. He forgets that we are not talking about the debt, but for every 100 shillings that we collect, 70 shillings will go towards retiring the debt, both domestic and external. And this therefore means we are not yet out of the woods. But the most important issue is what the Honorable Bogisio has just alluded. We need to have national conversation. And I thought the president, instead of spending a lot of time mobilizing border riders to create crowds wherever he goes in Mount Kenya region, he should use the opportunity that he has now approached more with the Honorable Raila Odinga to look for national conversation. That conversation may assist him, may assist whoever wins the next election, or even if he wins himself, he will have known where Kenya is and where Kenya ought to be.
Okay, thank you. Finally, Bonamulu, very briefly, parting shot.
You know, I've listened to my colleagues saying we need a national conversation. The president should be thinking about it. But with the likes of Senator Mungatana, who are telling things are doing very well, do you think he will even think about it? I just want to give free advice. Kenya Kwanza government came up with what we call the BETA, the economic transformation agenda for them, the bottom up. It has 4 pillars. I want to plead with my colleague to go and sit down and pick the 4 pillars, and on the basis of those 4 pillars, tell us which pillar has really performed. Because what he has said is just one pillar. The other 3 have not even started. And in such a situation, if we had to do proper evaluation, we will only be saying they're only working on 25%, 75% is set to start. This now being objective, not about talking just really like the way he's saying this has worked, this has worked. This government has a lot of work to do to convince Kenyans to be re-elected.
Asante sana. Bwana Makali Mulu, MP Kitui Central, Kipruto Rapkirwa Cabinet Minister in the Kibaki 1 administration, Samuel Pogisio, who served as Cabinet Minister in Kibaki 2 administration and a Senate Majority Leader, and Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River. Our panelists this morning taking a look at the big headlines. Of course, there's a lot we didn't cover, including discussions around the jobs that are being dished out at State House and the budget-making process, where we're talking about budget betrayal on the front page of the Standard. But these are conversations that we'll continue with throughout this week. Thank you for your time at TV47. After the break, Monday Blitz, a look at the weekend sports with Shutterboy and Fred Arocho. Do stand by for that. My name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.